In Dragon Age the Veilguard, there is the possibility of absolutely everyone paying the ultimate sacrifice. But then the game throws us a curveball and says we'll see them all again. Hello crows and non-crows alike, my name is Joe Mack, otherwise known as Support Crow, and today we're talking about how a terminal case of death is merely a flesh wound.
Now stand aside, worthy adversary.
'Tis but a scratch.
A scratch? Your arm's off.
No, it isn't.
Now before we get started, I want to say this video has two parts. You're basically getting a 2-for-1 deal today. The first theory being what we're about to cover, and the second being whether or not I actually believe there will be a Dragon Age 5. If you're more interested in that, there's a time down in the description. Otherwise, let's get started. So here is the dilemma. Everyone in the Veilguard can get 86'd, but then a little message at the end of the credits says the Veilguard will return. How is this possible? Well, what if Rook and their companions don't have to be alive to be in the next game?
What?
Alright, here's the theory. In Dragon Age 5, whichever companions died in Act 3, in the final gambit, will return as spirits. Dragon Age 5 will primarily be set in the Fade, and the Veilguard will reassemble to protect the Veil from the incoming storm that is the Executors. This poses a lot of questions. Will there be a new protagonist, or will Rook make a return? If Rook got sucked into the Fade prison with Solus, how can they come back? How could these companions return as spirits, and what spirits would they be? If your Rook was romancing Lucanus and Lucanus died in Act 3, but Lucanus returns as a spirit, is he still possessed by spite, or are they separate now? Does this mean you're in a throuple? If you're alive, how does the romance work? Does Spite and Lucanus just take turns phasing back and forth through you? Like, is this... Are we reenacting the pottery scene in Ghost? You know what, I'll leave the Lucanus questions for the fan artists to figure out. Let's just start with, will there be a new protagonist, or will Rook return? If so, how? If we follow the tradition of the past Dragon Age games, then the answer is that we'll get a new protag. However, if the theory is true that our companions return alive or unalived, then it stands to reason that Rook could return also. But how would that be the case if Rook got swallowed up by the Fade prison with Solus? As it turns out, there is a couple of ways. One way is that Rook just escapes again like they did the first time. Solus gets left behind to contemplate his regrets, while Rook runs free. That may not be the case though, because it seemed like this prison would be more permanent than the last one somehow. That detail wasn't entirely clear to me, but it is what it is. But if that's the case, and if the theory is true that everyone in the next game returns as a spirit, then Rook's best escape plan is to just die. Be it either being killed by Solus by being annoying as hell, or by just letting time do its thing. You'll recall that there were other elven gods trapped in that prison along with Elgonan and Gillenane. But when the other elven gods lost their archdemons while stuck in the Fade prison, they died not long after. Elgonan and Gillenane survived the prison because their immortality was still intact via their archdemons. Solus still maintains his immortality. He can stay in the Fade prison forever. Rook, on the other hand...
It's been 84 years.
Maybe Rook dies of old age, maybe he gets killed by Solus, maybe he just doesn't go into the prison, maybe he escapes the prison, maybe he just trips over a brick. The point is, if Rook dies one way or another, they could pop up as a spirit in the Fade somewhere. And so could any other companion that died along the way. And we know at least one, either Harding or Davern dies based on your decision in Act 3. Dragon Age is a very interesting setting to live in because there's an entire second half of it to consider. Your life doesn't simply end once you die on one side of the veil. Your spirit endures in this ever-changing space. Some people simply rest, others transform into spirits of faith, while others become something far more sinister. It would also act as a really unique counter-narrative to Dragon Age the Veilguard. Because while we were discovering the crappy business with Solus has gotten up to in the past, we also discovered that the ancient elves were originally spirits. They were spirits that became people. I think Dragon Age 5 can show us what it's like, but in reverse. People becoming spirits. And we have already seen this happen once in Dragon Age Awakening. In Awakening, we come across a haunted, blight-covered, abandoned village by the name of Black Marsh. This region was ruled over by a wicked mage known simply as the Baroness, who used powerful blood magic to send the entire village, and herself, into the Fade.
My. All that shouting outside, and now you finally decided to barge in without even a proper invitation.
Foul sorceress! You will release these poor folk and submit yourself to justice.
Justice? Is that what you're calling it? What of their punishment? Burning my home to the ground and me within it.
Because you were stealing our children, using their blood to feed your vanity.
As was my due. You lived on my land, I, your rightful ruler. Your blood was mine, just as your lives are now.
The amount of time spent in the Fade turned these people into spirits, including the Baroness. However, due to her pride, she willingly became a demon of pride, and used that to feed on the spirits of the village.
So this is the world of mortals. How very dull it seems. So immutable and unchanging. Yet, I am here. I have crossed the veil. The spirits will watch in envy as the mortals of this realm bow down before me.
That will not happen, demon.
Ah, it seems I was not the only one to be drawn here. How very tiresome. Shall I use smaller words? I had no idea I could enter the mortal world this way. Had I known... Oh, but I am here now, yes? Soon I will be queen, as this world deserves. And you? You will be the first of my subjects.
What if the only way to defeat the incoming storm of the Executors is by becoming spirits ourselves and meeting them on their own battleground, aka the Fade? Hence the reason why the Veilguard should return. The idea of a main character being a spirit is intriguing to me. Will we be able to choose what kind of spirit we'll be, or will it be decided by the kinds of dialogue options and choices we made? What kind of abilities would being a spirit give us? Will the Fade look different to us because we're a spirit? Will we be able to step into the waking world without turning into a monster? I'm very willing to find out. But tell me, what kind of spirit do you think your Dragon Age protags would turn out to be? Let me know down in the comments. I'm pretty sure my Rook would turn into a demon of sarcasm. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that theory, but it's now time to ask the big question. Do I really believe there's going to be a Dragon Age 5? Well, if you look at Dragon Age as a whole, there's still plenty of value to be had with it. Origins was a success. Dragon Age 2 released 2 very mixed results, and some controversy, but has a decent score on Steam nowadays. And Inquisition won Game of the Year, was beloved by critics, and currently has mostly positive reviews on Steam. I don't believe the shortcomings and the reception of Veilguard is enough to throw the entire franchise 6 feet under. However, I understand that there are other factors to consider, primarily the drama, incompetence, and overall disrespect that has had the ground development team bounce back and forth between the greed of Electronic Arts and the mismanagement of BioWare, like a ping pong ball. I know that there are people who want to blame EA for everything. I know that there are people who want to drag BioWare through the mud, and we all know that there are people on the internet that want anything with body type options to just combust. So yes, there's been a lot of drama. Yes, there's been 3 games in a row from BioWare that didn't hit the target. Yes, essentially everyone in the Dragon Age team was either fired or relocated. However, all of this boils down to issues with management rather than the issues with the product. I think EA's intention is to put new developers into BioWare and revitalize the Dragon Age franchise from the ground up. So, final answer, yes. I do think there's going to be a Dragon Age 5. Will this Dragon Age 5 still have a major focus on characters? Will it follow up on the narrative of the Executors? Will it allow us to carry over choices from the past games? Will it even still be a single-player action RPG? I do not know. It's still far too early to tell. What we do know is that BioWare has shifted from a multi-project studio to a single-project studio, focusing on one project at a time. And the development team is now less than 100 people. Not that that really means anything. Expedition 33 has proven that you don't need a crap ton of people to make a truly wonderful, excellent, beloved game. Because as it turns out, as people keep saying, and developers keep saying time and time and time and over and over and over again, that if you just let developers create a game that they want to play, then chances are you'll have a game that plenty of other people want to play also. Not saying it's going to be perfect all the time, not saying it's going to be game of the year every single time around, but I'm willing to bet that you'll have more wins than you do losses. Whether or not there will be a Dragon Age 5, I will continue to create theories for this franchise until the well of sorrows runs dry. Until then though, be safe, be well, be kind. Bye-bye.